The floating mountains are not just a story told in myths, but a gentle whisper from the earth itself, an invitation to step into a world where the impossible seems to exist and wonders breathe in the quiet spaces between moments. Imagine, if you will, a mountain not fixed to the earth, not bound by gravity's unyielding grip, but instead suspended like a dream in the delicate air. These floating giants, so rare and so mysterious, are not simply the stuff of fantasy. They are a part of our world, hidden in the folds of nature, as if waiting to be discovered in the stillness of the night. Have you ever wondered about the power of water? It is said that water is the true architect of floating mountains, carving out valleys and creating the intricate, delicate balance that allows mountains to appear as though they are suspended in the air. In places like the mountains of China, this phenomenon can be seen in the majestic peaks of Zhangjiajie, where vertical cliffs seem to float above the ground, veiled in mist, their edges so sharp and precise they seem impossible. The air around these mountains is thick with the memory of ages, and when you stand beneath them, it feels as though you are in the presence of something ancient and unspoken, a secret carried through the winds. Sometimes, in the cool stillness of the dawn, these mountains are cloaked in a fog so gentle, it appears as if the earth itself is breathing softly. The air, damp and alive with the scent of pine, carries the soft murmur of 1,000 whispered tales, and you can almost hear the mountain's quiet laughter, floating above the ground, untouched by time. The secret to their suspended beauty lies in the way the rock itself has been shaped by millions of years of wind and water. The forces of nature work in slow, patient ways, carving the rock with a precision that feels almost like a slow dance, shaping it into something delicate yet strong. It is a reminder that nothing is ever as it seems. Even a mountain, something so steadfast and permanent, can be shaped into something that floats, something otherworldly. Beneath the floating peaks, ancient forests grow, the trees reaching up to touch the sky, their branches moving gently in the breeze, as if they are in conversation with the floating rocks above. The interplay between the mountains and the trees is a reminder of the deep connection between the earth and the sky, of the quiet unity that holds everything together. The trees thrive in the shade of these floating giants, their roots winding deep into the earth, finding sustenance in the rich soil below. They are nourished by the same air that swirls around the mountains, their leaves whispering the secrets of the wind, a soft murmur that blends with the hum of the world. In these places, the air feels different, as though it has been touched by something divine. The breeze that flows between the peaks carries with it the stories of the earth, the rhythms of nature, the ancient songs of the planet itself. It is in the stillness of this air that one can feel the presence of something far beyond the mountains themselves, something that binds all of life together in a quiet harmony. The air is thin at these heights, but the purity of it fills the lungs with a sense of peace that is hard to describe. Each breath is a gentle reminder of the beauty of the world around us, a beauty that is both delicate and eternal. And yet, it is not just the mountains themselves that hold a secret. The air around them is filled with life, creatures both great and small, that have learned to live in the shadow of these floating wonders. Birds glide gracefully between the peaks, their wings stretching out like painted canvases against the bright sky. In the cool mornings, the sound of their calls echoes softly, a song of freedom carried on the wind. It is said that these birds, with their keen eyes and silent flight, are the true guardians of the floating mountains, watching over them with an eternal vigilance. They, too, seem to understand the delicate balance of this place, the way the earth and sky, the mountains and the trees, and the creatures who live among them, all work together in a quiet, symbiotic relationship. There are also hidden gardens within these floating peaks, secret places where the earth blooms in unexpected ways. High up in the mist, where the air is thin and the soil rich, flowers grow that are not found anywhere else on the planet. These plants, though small, have learned to thrive in this rarefied atmosphere, their petals unfurling like fragile dreams in the soft light of dawn. The colors of these flowers are rich and vibrant, their scents intoxicating, carried on the wind like whispers of a long-forgotten song. These secret gardens, like the floating mountains themselves, seem to exist in a world apart, a place untouched by time, where the earth reveals its most delicate secrets. In the heart of these floating mountains, you will find caverns and caves that wind deep into the earth, hidden spaces where the past is preserved in the stillness of stone. The walls of these caves are covered with ancient markings, symbols carved into the rock by those who lived here long before the mountains began to float. These markings, though faded by time, still tell stories of an age when humans and nature were one, when the earth was alive with magic and mystery. The echoes of these stories linger in the cool air of the caves, waiting to be discovered by those who are patient enough to listen. Sometimes, in the quiet moments of night, when the moon hangs low in the sky, the floating mountains seem to glow with an otherworldly light. It is as though the mountains themselves are alive, breathing with the rhythm of the universe. This light is not from the stars above, but from the very earth itself, a soft, ethereal glow that rises from the mountain's peaks, casting a gentle light over the landscape. It is in these moments that one can feel the true magic of the floating mountains, the sense that they are not just rocks and earth, but something far greater, something that connects all things in the universe. And yet, despite their beauty, the floating mountains remain shrouded in mystery, their secrets known only to the earth and the wind. Perhaps this is their greatest gift, the quiet, patient reminder that not all things need to be understood. Sometimes, the greatest mysteries are those that are simply allowed to exist, quietly and peacefully, in the background of our lives. These mountains, with their floating peaks and ancient stories, remind us of the beauty of the unknown, the wonder that lies in the spaces we cannot see or touch. As the night deepens and the gentle rhythm of the earth's breath fills the air, the floating mountains stand still, as if in a peaceful slumber. Their secrets are tucked away, their stories whispered to the wind, carried to places where only the most patient souls will hear them. And in this moment, as the world sleeps, we too can rest, knowing that the floating mountains continue to hold their mysteries, waiting for the quiet moments when we are ready to listen. The floating mountains remain ever still in their quiet grace, as though they are caught in a timeless embrace with the sky itself. There is a soft, almost reverent silence that surrounds them. a hush that extends far beyond the land, into the depths of the stars. The world feels suspended in these moments, as though the very rhythm of life slows, allowing space for something deeper to emerge. If you could sit at the foot of one of these towering peaks, you would find yourself drawn into the vastness, your mind expanding with each passing cloud, each breath of wind. When you look up, it's hard to believe these mountains are real. Their steep cliffs and jagged edges seem impossibly perfect, as if sculpted by the hands of unseen gods. In places where the sunlight hits just right, the rock faces glow, shimmering with a soft, golden hue, as if they are bathed in the glow of an eternal dawn. The surface of these mountains is often streaked with veins of silver, and these veins, so delicate and intricate, are a reminder of the hidden forces at work beneath the earth. The presence of minerals like quartz and mica gives the rock an almost iridescent quality, reflecting the light in ways that feel more magical than natural. This subtle glimmer seems to promise that there is always something more to discover, a secret yet to be revealed. In the early hours of the morning, when the sky is still a gentle shade of indigo and the stars have just begun to fade, the floating mountains appear even more ethereal, almost as if they are a mirage born of the mist. The fog, thick and heavy, swirls at their base, gently wrapping around the foot of the mountains like a cool, soft blanket. There's an intimacy to this fog, a quiet softness that seems to embrace everything it touches. If you wander into it, you feel as if you are entering a world apart, where time does not pass, and the only sound is the steady pulse of your own heartbeat. Here, the fog carries the scent of wet earth and pine, a fresh and grounding aroma that fills the lungs with a sense of peace. This is the place where nature speaks in the gentlest of voices. The wind, brushing through the pine trees, is like a lullaby, soothing and rhythmic, and it seems to carry the history of the earth itself within its breath. The trees that stand below the floating mountains are unlike any others. Their trunks twisted and gnarled, their branches reaching toward the sky as though they are trying to touch the peaks above. They are ancient trees, survivors of countless seasons, yet their growth is slow and deliberate, as though they, too, are honoring the stillness of the mountains. Their leaves shimmer in the breeze, making a sound like the soft rustling of pages, as if the earth itself is turning the pages of an old, sacred book. The delicate balance of life in this space is a hidden miracle. There are small creatures here, tiny and quiet, who have adapted to the rarefied air and the constant, gentle movement of the fog. High above, the birds glide effortlessly, their wings cutting through the mist as though they are made of the very air itself. Their feathers are like the softest whispers, and their calls, when they come, sound like a soft invitation to remember the beauty of the world. These birds, though small, hold the wisdom of the land in their eyes, a wisdom passed down through generations, through the silent passage of time. But there is something else in the air, something even more elusive, a quiet hum, like a secret song that can only be heard by those who are listening closely enough. It is the sound of the earth itself, resonating with the vibrations of the mountains, the pulse of the planet that can be felt deep in the chest. It is said that these mountains have a life force of their own, a pulse that aligns with the rhythms of the earth. If you listen long enough, you may feel it too. a gentle thrum beneath your feet, a rhythm that matches the beating of your heart. It's a reminder that the mountains, the trees, the birds, and all that surrounds us are not separate from us, but are a part of us, woven into the fabric of existence in ways we may never fully understand. At times, when the mist is especially thick and the world feels suspended in time, it's easy to forget where the land ends and the sky begins. The mountains seem to float even higher, their outlines blurring into the heavens, and it feels as though they are part of the clouds, a bridge between the earth and the cosmos. The light from the sun, soft and golden, filters through the fog, casting long shadows across the valley below. It is in these moments that the world feels most alive. The mountains, the trees, the air, all vibrating in a delicate harmony, their energies flowing seamlessly from one to the other. Everything here exists in perfect balance, as though the world has learned to breathe with grace, to live with patience. As the sun rises higher in the sky, the floating mountains reveal their true scale, towering above the landscape with an awe-inspiring presence. They are ancient, older than time itself, yet they feel young in the light of day, as if they are continually being reborn. The shadows cast by their peaks stretch across the land, creating a soft tapestry of light and dark, a contrast that highlights the delicate beauty of the world. The rocks, with their worn edges and craggy surfaces, speak of the centuries they have endured, the storms they have weathered, and the slow, patient work of nature that has shaped them into something so extraordinary. These mountains, though seemingly immovable, have been shaped by forces far beyond our understanding, by the wind, by the water, by the earth itself. The ground beneath your feet is alive with life, though it often goes unnoticed. Tiny plants, hidden in the cracks of the rocks, grow in the most unexpected places. These plants, though small, are resilient, able to survive in the harshest of conditions. Their roots reach deep into the earth, drawing strength from the soil that supports them, while their leaves catch the light of the sun, absorbing its warmth and energy. In the quiet of the morning, you might find yourself kneeling down to look closer, to witness the delicate beauty of these plants, whose existence seems almost like a miracle. These tiny lives, so fragile yet so strong, are the unsung heroes of the floating mountains, carrying on their quiet work without fanfare, simply existing in harmony with the world around them. And yet, even among all this beauty, there's a sense of something deeper, something that cannot be touched or seen. It is the quiet magic that flows through everything, the invisible thread that connects all things, from the smallest plant to the tallest peak, from the gentle breeze to the stars above. This magic is not loud or boastful. It does not demand attention. Instead, it exists in the stillness, in the quiet moments when the world slows down, when the mist lingers in the air and the mountains seem to float in their own reverence. It is the magic of the earth itself, a reminder that there is so much more to the world than we can see, more than we can touch. It's a mystery that we are invited to embrace, without the need to fully understand it. As the day wanes and the sun begins its slow descent, the floating mountains, with their glowing peaks, seem to soften. The golden light of evening bathes them in a soft, tender glow, as if the mountains are taking a moment to rest, to settle into the night. The air cools, and the soft hum of the world becomes quieter, slower, more peaceful. It's as if the mountains, the earth, and all the creatures within this hidden world are slowly preparing to sleep, to enter into the quiet embrace of the night. And as the stars begin to appear, their soft light adding to the gentle glow of the mountains, the world seems to exhale, settling into a calm, unhurried rhythm. And with that, we too are invited to rest, to let go of the day's worries and drift into the quiet peace of the night. As the twilight deepens and the stars begin to wink softly above, the floating mountains grow stiller, as if they too are preparing for the quiet descent into sleep. The evening air carries a coolness that is both refreshing and calming, the gentle kiss of the night settling over everything. The fog, which has been creeping along the ground since the morning hours, begins to gather once again at the feet of the mountains, rolling and shifting in the soft light. It feels as though the land is breathing with the rhythm of the night, slow and steady, a quiet sigh of contentment. As you sit in this moment, beneath the immense and floating peaks, you begin to feel the pull of the silence. It is a deep silence, not empty, but full of life. The mountains, those ancient sentinels, seem to hum quietly with a low, almost imperceptible vibration. Perhaps it is the earth speaking, or maybe it is the sky. But there is a presence here that cannot be named, a sense of something greater than ourselves that seems to wrap around you like a soft, comforting blanket. You realize that this space, so full of wonder and mystery, is not just a place to observe, but a place to exist, to simply be. The trees that grow near the floating mountains have their own quiet rhythm. Their branches sway gently in the cool night air, their leaves rustling softly, like whispers carried by the breeze. It is said that the trees here are ancient, and it is easy to believe. Their trunks are thick and worn, their roots spreading deep into the earth, connecting them to the heartbeat of the land. Even as night falls, the trees continue their slow, patient dance with the elements, bowing to the wind and shifting their leaves in response to the smallest change in the air. These trees seem to hold memories within their bark, memories of seasons past, of storms weathered and sunshine basked in. And with each breeze that rustles their leaves, it feels as if the earth itself is remembering all the stories that have been told here, all the lives that have passed beneath these floating peaks. Above, the stars begin to glitter more brightly, their soft light pouring over the land. The peaks of the floating mountains seem to catch the light in such a way that they almost glow, their edges soft and outlined in starlight. It's as if the mountains themselves are being kissed by the cosmos, each peak a perfect reflection of the heavens. And in the space between the stars, the floating mountains seem even more untouchable, suspended in time, stretching upward into infinity. They feel distant, yet somehow within reach, like a dream that hovers just on the edge of consciousness. In this moment, it is easy to believe in the magic of these mountains, in the strange, unexplainable beauty that surrounds them. There is a gentle pull in the air, a kind of quiet invitation, as if the mountains are calling you closer, asking you to step further into the mystery. The air is thick with the stories of the earth, the wind carrying the whispers of those who have walked this land long before you. Perhaps the mountains are not just floating above the earth, but are connected to it in ways that go beyond what the eyes can see. Perhaps they are connected to the stars, to the very pulse of the universe itself, and their floating presence is simply a reflection of something far deeper, far older than we could ever comprehend. As night deepens, the landscape begins to soften, becoming dreamlike in its quiet stillness. The fog thickens and curls around the base of the floating mountains, and the light from the stars reflects off the mist, casting everything in a soft, silvery glow. It is in these moments that the world feels most alive, yet also most at peace. There is no hurry here, no need to move, no need to chase after anything. Everything simply is, and in this stillness, you can almost feel the heartbeat of the mountains, the slow pulse of the earth beneath you, resonating through the land. And the night, too, seems to hold a secret. Perhaps it is the secret of how the mountains came to be, or perhaps it is the secret of how they remain so serene, so untouched by the world around them. The floating mountains are not merely objects in the landscape. They are symbols, reminders of something greater, something that transcends the boundaries of the visible world. They are not simply held in place by gravity, but by something more, an invisible force, a kind of balance that exists beyond time and space. It is a reminder that all things, even the mountains, are a part of something much greater than we can understand. We are simply guests in this vast and mysterious world, invited to witness its beauty, to rest in its quiet rhythms. In the moments before sleep, as the night settles deeper and the world around you softens into the quiet embrace of the stars, you can feel that magic lingering in the air. It is in the breath of the wind, in the rustle of the leaves, in the stillness of the mountains themselves. It is the magic of life, of nature, of the universe, stretching out before you, vast and endless. And just as the mountains seem to float effortlessly in the air, so too does the moment float, suspended between time and space, held by the soft glow of the stars and the gentle rhythm of the earth. With each breath, you find yourself becoming lighter, as if the very air around you is carrying you toward the peaceful slumber that awaits. The floating mountains, ever watchful and serene, stand quietly as you drift, their ancient energy wrapping around you, grounding you in their quiet, eternal presence. The world seems to exhale, and with it, so do you. The night, with all its mysteries, holds you gently, and as you close your eyes, you are carried deeper into the dream, into the quiet spaces where the floating mountains rest, suspended in the stars, timeless and calm. As the night deepens further, the floating mountains begin to blend seamlessly with the darkness of the sky. The soft mist that rises from the valley below curls around their jagged edges, almost as if the earth itself is gently rocking them to sleep. The air is cool now, almost serene, and each breath you take feels like a slow exhale of peace. The stars above are like distant sparks, twinkling softly in the velvet sky, their light bathing the landscape in an ethereal glow. In this quiet hour, the world seems to slow, as if caught in a moment of timeless grace, and the mountains, in their quiet splendor, remain ever watchful. When you look up at the peaks, they no longer appear as solid, unmoving formations, but as soft silhouettes against the dark sky. They seem to stretch upward, blending into the cosmos, as though the mountains themselves are reaching for the stars, seeking to touch the very fabric of the universe. The mist, still clinging to the ground, forms patterns that shift and dance in the cool wind, and the pale moonlight pours through the fog. creating a luminous halo around the highest peaks. It is as if the mountains are caught between two worlds, the world of the earth and the boundless expanse of the cosmos above. In these quiet moments, the beauty of the floating mountains becomes more profound. There is no hurry here, no rush to understand, only the slow unfolding of time, as gentle as the flutter of a bird's wing. The mountains stand, suspended in their mystery, and everything around them is still. Even the wind, usually a lively companion of nature, seems to have slowed its dance, content to simply whisper through the trees that grow at their feet. The trees, like old friends, have long since learned the language of the wind and the mountains, moving with a slow, deliberate grace, their leaves rustling in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the earth. There is a peculiar kind of silence that exists in this space, one that is not empty, but full of life. It is the kind of silence that comes from being surrounded by nature in its most untouched form, where every sound, no matter how small, seems to resonate with a deeper meaning. The subtle creak of a branch bending in the wind, the distant call of an owl, the soft murmur of the mist rolling over the ground. All of these sounds exist within a larger symphony, a quiet song that the earth hums in its own unhurried way. In the shadows of the floating mountains, you begin to understand the delicate balance that exists here. It is not just the mountains themselves that float. It is the entire landscape, held together by an unseen force. Perhaps it is gravity, but perhaps it is something else, something more mysterious and gentle. The mountains, in their quiet majesty, seem to defy the laws of nature, and yet they are a part of it, as much as the trees, the birds, and the wind. This balance, so fragile and perfect, is a reminder of how closely everything in the world is connected. The floating mountains are not isolated from the world, but rather are an integral part of it, floating delicately in the air as though suspended by the very breath of the earth itself. And in this silence, it is easy to feel a deep sense of connection to everything around you. The mountains, the trees, the wind, the stars, they are not separate from you, but part of the same great web of life. You can feel this truth in the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, in the way your heart beats in time with the pulse of the earth. There is a quiet, unspoken understanding here, one that has existed since the beginning of time. And in this moment, you are a part of it. You are not an observer of the floating mountains. You are a part of their story, woven into the same fabric of existence that holds them above the earth. As the night wears on, the fog begins to thicken, enveloping the land in a soft, dreamlike haze. The floating mountains, once so sharp and distinct against the sky, now seem to fade into the mist, their outlines becoming soft and blurry, like a painting being slowly washed with watercolors. The moonlight filters through the fog, casting an otherworldly glow over everything. The world feels suspended in this moment, as though time itself has paused to honor the beauty of the night. There is no past, no future, only the present. This quiet, peaceful moment where everything exists in perfect harmony. In this space, the concept of time seems to lose its meaning. The minutes slip away without notice, as the world wraps itself in the comfort of its own rhythm. The mountains, the mist, the wind, they are all part of the same eternal dance, moving in slow, deliberate steps that have been performed for countless ages. This is a dance that knows no hurry, no rush to arrive anywhere. It is a dance of patience, of stillness, of grace. And as you sit beneath the floating peaks, you too begin to move with this rhythm, your breath slowing, your body sinking deeper into the peace of the night. Even the stars seem to become part of this quiet dance. Their light, once so distant, now feels close, as if the heavens themselves are leaning in, watching the world below with quiet affection. The stars twinkle gently, their light casting a soft glow over the land, adding to the dreamlike quality of the night. There is something comforting in the knowledge that the stars have been watching over this land for eons. Their silent, watchful gaze a reminder that some things in this world are eternal. As the fog continues to curl around the base of the floating mountains, you begin to feel as though you are part of this mist, part of the silence, part of the story of the mountains themselves. The world has softened, and you are held in the embrace of this quiet, this mystery. And just as the fog wraps itself around the land, so too does the night wrap itself around you, pulling you gently into its embrace. The floating mountains, so ancient and so full of secrets, continue to rest above the earth. Their presence timeless, their story infinite. You too begin to feel the pull of sleep, the quiet call of rest, as the world around you becomes more and more dreamlike. The mountains, the stars, the mist, they are all part of the same quiet lullaby, a song of the earth and the sky, inviting you to rest, to let go of the waking world and drift into the peaceful arms of sleep. And with that, the story of the floating mountains slowly fades into the night, as you too float gently into your own dreams. As the night wraps its cool arms around the world, the floating mountains grow even more elusive, their outlines now nearly invisible against the darkened sky. They seem to disappear, not because they are no longer there, but because they are so perfectly woven into the fabric of the night. They exist not just in the physical world, but in the quiet spaces of the mind, where they float between dreams and reality. The mist continues to rise from the valley, its soft tendrils reaching up to caress the bases of the mountains, pulling them further into the dreamlike realm that now surrounds them. The air feels thick with mystery, as if the very atmosphere is alive with secrets. It is a feeling that is almost impossible to describe. A quiet hum that lingers in the chest, a soft resonance that calls out to something deep within, something ancient and knowing. The floating mountains, ever serene and still, seem to hum with this same energy, as if they are aware of the passage of time, of the subtle ebb and flow of the universe. Their presence is not a forceful one. It is gentle, calm, like the steady breath of the earth itself. The world around you, too, seems to be breathing more slowly now. The sound of the wind has softened, becoming little more than a whisper, as if the very elements are honoring the stillness of the moment. The trees, still and quiet, continue to sway gently in the breeze, their branches swishing through the cool night air. Their leaves, aglow in the pale moonlight, glisten like stars themselves, reflecting the beauty of the floating mountains above. The mist, thickening with each passing hour, wraps itself around the trees like a lover's embrace, tender and soft. Everything in this space feels as though it exists in a delicate balance, held by forces unseen but deeply felt. The creatures that call this place home, the birds, the insects, the hidden animals of the forest, are not disturbed by the quiet. They move through this world as though they too understand the nature of the night, of the slow dance between earth and sky. There is a profound peace in the way they carry themselves, each one moving in its own time, as if they too are a part of the floating mountain's song. There is something almost magical about this stillness, a feeling that has existed for as long as the mountains have stood. It is a quietude that transcends time, a peace that feels both ancient and ever new. The mountains are not simply suspended in the air, they are suspended in the space between time and eternity. They exist beyond the reach of the ordinary world, and yet they remain connected to it, as though they are the bridge between the known and the unknown, the seen and the unseen. Perhaps this is the greatest mystery of the floating mountains, that they are both part of this world and beyond it. They are anchored in the earth, yes, but their presence in the sky seems to suggest that they are tied to something greater, something that cannot be fully grasped. They float not only above the earth, but also between dimensions, suspended in a place where time bends and dreams can take shape. The floating mountains exist in the spaces where the human mind cannot fully follow, where the heart can only feel and wonder. And in these quiet, fleeting moments, the boundary between waking and sleeping becomes almost imperceptible. The mountains, the mist, the air, they all seem to blur together, becoming part of a single breathing entity, moving as one in a rhythm that can only be felt, never fully understood. You too begin to feel this rhythm, your body sinking into the soft embrace of the night, as if the earth itself is cradling you in its arms, guiding you into rest. In this space between worlds, the floating mountains do not simply remain still. They pulse with life, with energy that flows like a soft current beneath the surface of the land. They seem to shimmer faintly in the moonlight, their rocky surfaces glowing softly as if they are alive with a quiet magic, a force that is both gentle and vast. There is no need for words here, no need for explanations. The mountains simply are, and in their being, they offer a kind of peace that transcends the understanding of the mind. They do not need to be seen clearly to be felt. Their presence is a quiet reassurance, a reminder that everything in the world is held in perfect balance, even when we cannot see it. The night moves on slowly, gently, without hurry, and the floating mountains remain steadfast in their place. The soft light of the stars above casts a gentle glow over everything, and as you lie beneath the silent peaks, you feel the weight of the world slipping away. There is no need to chase after the mysteries of the mountains now. They are not things to be understood, but things to be experienced, to be felt in the deepest parts of the soul. They ask nothing of you, yet they offer everything: peace, wonder, the quiet knowledge that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves. The world has grown quiet now. The only sounds the soft rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the whisper of the mist moving across the land. The mountains, with their floating peaks and ancient presence, are part of the night, part of the air, part of the eternal rhythm of the earth. And in this moment, you are part of them. You are connected to the land, to the sky, to the stars that twinkle so softly above. And as the night draws to its final peaceful hours, the floating mountains continue to rest, their secrets held close, their presence as constant and gentle as the breath of the earth. They float not just above the land, but above time itself, suspended in a quiet, eternal dream. And as you, too, drift deeper into your own dreams, You are carried along, floating gently with them as part of the same story, the same quiet wonder, the same unhurried journey through the night. With each breath, you find yourself surrendering to the peaceful embrace of sleep, knowing that the floating mountains will remain just as they are, ever watchful, ever still, ever full of mystery. And as you drift off into the quiet dark, you realize that the mountains, like the stars above, are always with you, not in your mind, not in your memory, but in the very air you breathe. Their mystery is now yours, carried softly into the dreams of the night. The night grows deeper still, and in the silent hours between sleep and wakefulness, the floating mountains remain as serene as ever. Their outlines are almost invisible now, swallowed by the gentle embrace of the mist and the soft glow of the stars. The world has softened to a dreamlike blur, where edges fade and time becomes a distant memory. The mountains, once so distinct, now appear as ethereal shadows against the velvet sky, their presence no less real, but quieter, more distant, as though they are suspended in a place where all things rest in perfect peace. In this world between wakefulness and sleep, the floating mountains become less like physical objects and more like feelings, impressions that linger in the quiet spaces of the mind. Their stillness is not an absence, but a fullness, as though they are filled with ancient wisdom, with stories untold, with the quiet knowledge that comes from having stood through countless ages. They do not need to speak to be understood. Their mere existence is enough, a reminder that not all beauty needs to be seen clearly. Some things are meant to be felt. The mist, now thickening once more, moves with a soft fluidity, wrapping around the mountains like a lover's embrace. The fog flows in gentle waves, as if it is an extension of the earth itself, rising and falling with the rhythm of the land's breath. It wraps around the trees and the rocks, lifting them up and holding them for a moment, before releasing them back into the world below. The world, it seems, is in no hurry. Everything here moves slowly, deliberately, as if each moment is a gift to be savored, not rushed through. And in the midst of this slow, tender rhythm, the creatures of the forest carry on their quiet dance. The birds, though hidden in the shadows, still move between the trees, their wings cutting through the air in graceful arcs. Their calls, soft and echoing, are like faint whispers carried on the wind, a reminder that life is ever present, even in the quietest of moments. There is a feeling of ancient connection here, a sense that all the creatures, large and small, understand their place in the great web of existence. Each movement, each breath, is a part of a greater symphony, a song that has been sung for as long as the mountains have floated above the earth. The stars above, too, seem to participate in this quiet dance. They shine softly, their light muted by the layers of mist that move across the land. The stars, distant and untouchable, seem to pulse in time with the floating mountains, their light a gentle reminder of the vastness of the universe. The night sky, like the land below, holds mysteries that cannot be fully understood. It is a reminder that there is more to the world than what we can see, more than what we can touch. The stars remind us that the universe is full of beauty and wonder, and that all we need to do is open our hearts and minds to it. As you drift further into sleep, the world becomes even more dreamlike. The floating mountains, though still present in your mind, feel more distant now, like a memory fading gently in the night. Their peaks, once sharp and clear, now blur into the darkness, becoming a part of the dream itself, a part of the quiet rhythm that moves through everything. The mist, the trees, the stars, the mountains, they are all connected, all part of the same gentle movement, all floating together in the stillness of the night. It is in these moments of quiet, in the space between sleep and wakefulness, that the true magic of the floating mountains is revealed. They are not just a physical phenomenon. They are a symbol of something greater, something timeless. They are a reminder that there is a world beyond the one we can touch and see, a world where beauty exists in its purest form, untainted by the hurry of everyday life. The floating mountains are not something to be understood with the mind, but something to be experienced with the heart. They are an invitation to step into the unknown, to embrace the mystery of the world, to find peace in the stillness of nature. As your mind begins to drift deeper and your body sinks into the comfort of sleep, the mountains remain with you, ever watchful, ever present, their quiet majesty filling your dreams. They are the guardians of the night, holding the mysteries of the earth and sky within their silent embrace. And just as they have stood through the ages, suspended between the earth and the heavens, so too will your dreams be carried on the winds of this eternal rhythm. The stars above flicker softly, like the quiet pulse of the universe itself, and the mist continues to rise and fall, wrapping the world in its soft, nurturing embrace. The floating mountains, though distant now, remain steady in their place, reminding you that the world is full of mysteries that do not need to be solved, only felt. In this moment, there is nothing to do, nothing to seek. All that is needed is to surrender to the quiet, to let go of the waking world, and to float gently into the peace of sleep, carried on the winds of the earth and the dreams of the floating mountains. And so, with the mountains still suspended in the cool night air, with the fog rolling softly around them, with the stars shining above in their timeless rhythm, you drift deeper into sleep. The floating mountains continue their quiet watch over the land, their story an ancient song that lulls you into a peaceful, gentle rest. And as the night stretches on, you too float in harmony with the world, held in the serene embrace of the earth and the sky, resting under the gentle gaze of the floating mountains. The night, as deep and mysterious as the floating mountains themselves, continues to unfold in a tranquil, unhurried rhythm. The mist, which has curled itself around the land like a soft blanket, shrouds the world in a quiet embrace. The mountains, though still unseen in the darkness, remain ever present, their towering peaks hidden beneath the veil of fog, yet their energy, their presence, seems to permeate the very air. It is as if they are cradling the world in their silence, gently guiding everything into a state of stillness, of peace. In this deep, almost sacred quiet, everything seems to fall away. The hustle and bustle of the waking world, the concerns, the noise, the rush, has faded into nothingness. The mountains do not need to prove their existence. They simply are, existing in the quiet space between the stars and the earth, untouched by time. The world has slowed to match their pace, and the night moves on in a gentle, steady rhythm. Everything here, from the soft rustle of the trees to the slow, deliberate roll of the mist, speaks of timelessness, of patience. The forest, which once felt full of life, now seems to be in a kind of peaceful slumber. The trees stand tall and silent, their branches moving ever so slightly in the breeze. But even the breeze feels softer now, gentler, as if it too is participating in this tranquil rest. The leaves, which had once whispered in the wind, now lie still, waiting, as if they too are drifting into the quiet pulse of the night. The animals, though hidden in the shadows, are resting too. The world is suspended in this quiet embrace, a moment of perfect stillness before the night draws to a close. The stars above, so distant and yet so close in the silence of the night, continue their soft, eternal dance. They are not hurried, not striving to shine brighter or burn longer. They simply exist, suspended in the vastness of the sky, casting a soft, silver glow over everything below. In this light, the mountains, though still shrouded in mist, seem to take on a new dimension, almost as if they are glowing faintly from within. It is a glow that comes not from any external light, but from a deep, internal radiance, the kind of light that only something as ancient and enduring as the floating mountains could possess. This light is subtle, not blinding, but it fills the space with a quiet sense of wonder, as if the mountains themselves are breathing, alive in ways we cannot fully understand. There is a softness to this world now, a peaceful gentleness that permeates every breath, every thought. The mountains, even when hidden in the mist, seem to reach out to you, their energy like a slow, steady pulse that aligns with the rhythm of your own heart. Their silent, unwavering presence is a comfort, a reminder that no matter how far you drift, no matter how deep you sink into the quiet of the night, you are held by the earth, by the trees, by the mountains that float above, silently watching over you. And in this silence, there is space for something else to emerge, a deep, unspoken connection to the world around you. The mountains, though distant, are not separate from you. You feel this connection in the stillness of your own breath, in the steady beat of your heart, in the quiet spaces between thoughts. You are part of this vast, interconnected web of life, and the floating mountains, in their eternal patience, are reminding you of this truth. You are not alone in this world. You are connected to the land, to the stars, to everything around you. The quiet hum of the earth, the pulse of the mountains, is also your pulse, and in this shared rhythm, you are at peace. The fog, still swirling gently around the mountains, seems to carry the weight of all the stories of this land. The stories of the people who have walked here before, the creatures who have made their homes beneath the peaks, the winds that have blown through these valleys for eons. These stories are not spoken, but felt, carried on the air, in the very molecules that make up the mist itself. It is a story of endurance, of patience, of a beauty that does not seek attention, but simply exists, timeless and calm. The fog, though it seems light and insubstantial, holds the weight of these memories. And as you breathe in, you too become part of this quiet story, woven into the fabric of the land. The floating mountains, though never fully revealed in the stillness of the night, are there, waiting patiently. They are not simply physical formations of rock. They are symbols, reminders of the mysteries that exist beyond our understanding. They remind us that there is more to the world than what can be seen, more than what can be touched. The true beauty of the floating mountains lies not in their towering peaks or their impossible suspension in the air, but in the way they embody the mysteries of nature itself. mysteries that cannot be explained but can only be experienced. They exist not to be solved, but to be felt, to be lived alongside, as we too float, suspended between waking and sleeping, between the earthly and the divine. As the night deepens, the world around you grows softer still. The fog thickens, and the stars above shine with a quiet brilliance. The mountains, though unseen, are felt more deeply than ever, their silent, timeless presence wrapping around you like a comforting embrace. The gentle hum of the earth, the rhythmic pulse of the wind, the soft rustle of the leaves, all of these sounds merge into a single, soothing song, one that carries you deeper into the night. The world feels, in this moment, as if it is holding its breath, waiting for something. Perhaps it is waiting for the dawn, but perhaps too it is simply waiting for you to let go, to surrender fully into the peace that surrounds you. In this peace there is no need for words, no need for action. Everything simply exists in perfect harmony. The floating mountains, with their quiet majesty, are not just objects in the landscape, but living symbols of the mystery and beauty that surrounds us. They are not to be understood with the mind, but felt in the heart, in the spaces between moments. And as you drift deeper into sleep, carried by the rhythm of the earth and the quiet song of the mountains, you are reminded that everything is connected: the earth, the air, the stars, and you. And in this connection, there is rest, there is peace, there is understanding. And so, as the mountains continue to float gently above the world, as the mist rolls softly across the land, you too float, gently, peacefully, silently, into the embrace of the night. The floating mountains, with their ancient wisdom and quiet strength, remain ever present, ever watchful, ever full of mystery. And in their presence, you rest, you sleep, and in the soft embrace of the night, you are held. The world, now fully immersed in the tranquility of the night, holds its breath as if it too is floating in the soft, eternal rhythm of the earth. The floating mountains, ever mysterious and serene, stand as silent guardians in the distance, their peaks hidden beneath the veil of mist that rolls gently across the land. Their presence, though obscured, remains unmistakable, a quiet pulse in the very air that surrounds you. Even as you drift deeper into the embrace of sleep, the mountains seem to carry on, suspended in the silence, their energy as constant and unchanging as the stars themselves. In this moment, the air feels different, almost sacred. It is filled with a deep, palpable stillness that seems to wrap itself around everything, cradling the land, the trees, the mist, and even the stars in its gentle embrace. There is a quietness here that speaks not just to the absence of sound, but to the presence of something greater, something beyond what the eyes can see. It is as if the floating mountains themselves are reminding you of the subtle power of silence, the way it holds everything together, the way it allows the world to breathe without hurry, without need. The soft glow of the stars above continues to flicker, each one a tiny beacon in the vast expanse of the night sky. They are as ancient as the mountains themselves, shining softly through the fog, their light mingling with the mist that hugs the land. The stars do not try to be seen, they simply exist, casting their quiet light on everything below, illuminating the world in the softest of ways. This light is not harsh, but tender, as if the stars are watching over the mountains, the trees, and all the creatures that rest beneath them. The trees, still and unmoving, seem to stand in perfect harmony with the mountains. Their roots reach deep into the earth, as if they are in communion with the land, drawing from it the quiet strength and wisdom that only nature can provide. The leaves of the trees, though they do not rustle in the stillness of the night, glow faintly in the soft light of the stars, their edges shimmering as if touched by a gentle hand. It is a beauty that cannot be hurried, that cannot be grasped, but only felt. The way the world moves in its own time. The way the trees grow not in a rush, but with the slow, patient rhythm of nature. And in this quiet, you begin to understand that the floating mountains are not merely suspended in the air. They are suspended in time, in the space between the known and the unknown. They stand as quiet witnesses to the passing of centuries, to the slow unfolding of life and death, of seasons and years, of beginnings and endings. And yet, they are not burdened by time. They exist outside of it, as though they are in conversation with eternity itself. Their floating presence is a reminder that time, though it may seem all-encompassing, is but a fleeting thing, a moment that passes as gently as the mist that rises and falls in the valley below. The mist itself seems to carry the stories of the land, stories of all that has come before and all that will come after. It wraps itself around the mountains like a whispered secret, a language only the earth understands. The fog rises in delicate waves, folding over the land, touching the trees, the rocks, the soil. It is as if the mist is the breath of the earth itself, a soft sigh that flows through everything, connecting all parts of this quiet world. And in its presence, you feel that same quiet connection to the mountains, to the stars, to the earth beneath you. There is a certain grace to this night, a grace that exists in the way everything moves, or rather, does not move. The floating mountains, the trees, the stars, the mist, they all exist in a slow, deliberate harmony, as though everything is perfectly aligned in the most subtle way. The world, in this moment, is not rushing toward anything. It is simply being. And in this being, there is peace. The mountains, in their silent watch, offer this peace to everything around them. They do not need to shout or demand attention. They simply exist, gently, quietly, offering their wisdom to anyone who is willing to listen. And as you listen, you begin to feel the gentle rhythm of the earth beneath you, the pulse of life that moves through everything. It is the same rhythm that guides the wind through the trees, that causes the fog to roll over the land, that lifts the floating mountains ever so slightly higher in the sky. It is the rhythm of nature itself, the heartbeat of the earth, steady and calm, slow and eternal. And as you feel this rhythm, you begin to feel more deeply connected to it, as if you are a part of it, as if the pulse of the mountains is your own pulse. The breath of the earth is your own breath. In these moments of stillness, the world around you feels not distant, but close, as if everything is drawing near, drawing together. The floating mountains, though they stand high above, are not separate from the land. They are connected to it, as much a part of it as the trees, the mist, the stars. They are not merely suspended in space, but suspended in the quiet, patient rhythm of nature, the same rhythm that you too are a part of. And as you breathe deeply, as you listen to the quiet hum of the world around you, you begin to feel that you are not simply observing this beauty, but living within it. You are part of this song, part of this dance, and your heart, like the mountains, beats in time with the earth. As the night continues to deepen, the air grows cooler, but there is no rush, no urgency. The mountains, though still hidden in the mist, continue to float above the land, untouched by time, untouched by the world's demands. The trees stand unmoving, their branches reaching for the stars, while the mist swirls in delicate waves, like the breath of the earth itself. Everything here is in perfect balance, in perfect harmony, existing in the space between the known and the unknown, the seen and the unseen. In this quiet space, you find that there is no need to search for answers, no need to chase after mysteries. The floating mountains, with all their wonder, do not demand to be understood. They simply are. And in their being, they offer something far greater than understanding. They offer peace. The peace that comes from knowing that the world is not something to be figured out, but something to be experienced, to be felt. And in this experience, in this quiet moment beneath the floating mountains, you come to realize that there is nothing more profound than simply being, existing in the rhythm of the earth, in the stillness of the night, in the gentle pulse of the world around you. And as you drift deeper into sleep, you are carried further into this peaceful rhythm, further into the embrace of the earth, the mountains, the stars. You float, like the mountains themselves, suspended in the soft, timeless breath of the night. The world continues to breathe around you, steady and calm, as you are held in the quiet, peaceful arms of the earth, resting under the watchful gaze of the floating mountains. And in this space, there is nothing but peace. A peace that is as eternal as the mountains themselves, as quiet as the stars above. As the world continues to drift deeper into the embrace of the night, the floating mountains stand, ever serene, their towering presence still hidden beneath the thickening mist. They are not just part of the landscape, but seem woven into the fabric of the world itself, suspended in a quiet dance with time. The fog around them rolls like a slow, meandering river, its tendrils rising and falling in soft undulations. It is as if the mountains breathe with the land, their very existence a quiet testament to the power of patience, of stillness. The air, cool and crisp, is filled with a delicate fragrance, the scent of wet earth, the richness of pine, the faint trace of moss growing in the shaded valleys below the mountains. Each breath you take is deep and full, grounding you further into the peace of this world. In this stillness, you feel the rhythm of the earth more clearly than ever, as though each inhalation aligns you with the pulse of the land, a pulse that carries with it the ancient wisdom of the mountains. The floating mountains are not merely physical. They are part of a living, breathing world, one that speaks to you not in words, but in silence. It is a language older than time itself, a language that flows through the wind, the trees, the mist, and the very air that you breathe. Above, the stars continue their slow, eternal dance across the heavens. They twinkle softly, as if in quiet conversation with the mountains, with the earth, with the mist that rises and falls below. Their light is not harsh, but gentle like the touch of a soft hand against the skin. The night sky, vast and endless, stretches above you, and for a moment, it seems as though the floating mountains are not just suspended between earth and sky, but between worlds, a bridge between the known and the unknown, between the earthly and the cosmic. There is a quiet power in this. The stars, though far away, feel close, as if they are watching over you, guiding you through the quiet depths of the night. The mist around the mountains thickens, wrapping the land in an almost ethereal glow. It is not a dense fog, but a soft, translucent veil that shrouds the world in mystery. The fog moves with grace, as if it too is part of the slow, deliberate dance of the mountains. It weaves around the trees, caresses the stones, and hovers over the land with a softness that feels like a secret. There is something sacred about this mist, as if it carries the memories of ages past, the stories of all who have walked this land before. You cannot see it clearly, but you can feel its presence, like a gentle breath of the earth itself. Beneath the veil of mist, the trees stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time. Their gnarled trunks, covered in moss and ivy, seem to hold within them the ancient stories of the world. Each tree is a testament to the slow, patient rhythm of nature. They stand tall, their branches reaching toward the sky, as though they are speaking to the stars themselves. The trees do not rush to grow, to bloom, to change. They grow in their own time, moving only when the earth tells them it is time. In this, the trees are like the mountains, patient, enduring, and quietly wise. There is a quiet beauty to this night, one that cannot be captured by words, but only felt. It is in the soft rustling of the leaves, in the way the mist curls around the land, in the way the mountains stand, still and unmoving, like ancient sentinels of the earth. Everything here exists in perfect harmony, as though each part of the world knows its place, knows its role, and plays it without hesitation. The floating mountains do not seek attention, they simply are. And in their being, they remind you that there is beauty in simply existing, in being a part of the world without the need to rush, to strive, to prove anything. The night stretches on, and the peace of the world deepens. The floating mountains remain suspended in the mist, their presence quiet and constant. They are part of the very fabric of the earth, holding it together with their steady, unspoken grace. The world around them breathes slowly, like a deep sigh, as if the earth itself is resting, finding solace in the stillness of the night. In this quiet, you are reminded that there is no need to chase after the mysteries of the world. They are already here, woven into the land, into the trees, into the mountains themselves. The mysteries are not to be solved, but to be experienced, to be lived alongside, as part of the eternal dance of nature. In this space, the world feels both vast and intimate. The floating mountains, though distant, feel as though they are part of you. Their steady presence a reminder that you are a part of something much greater than yourself. The trees, the mist, the stars, the land, they are all interconnected, all flowing together in perfect harmony. And you too are a part of this harmony. As you lie beneath the watchful gaze of the mountains, you are held by the earth, by the sky, by the stars, and by the quiet, gentle pulse of the world around you. The fog, now thick around you, seems to carry you into a deeper state of rest, as if it is inviting you to surrender fully to the peace of the night. The mountains, though hidden in the mist, are ever present, their silent watch a steady anchor in the quiet flow of time. You too feel anchored, not by the weight of the world, but by the quiet, invisible thread that connects you to everything around you. The floating mountains, with their gentle, eternal rhythm, are a reminder that you are never alone, that you are always held by the earth, by the stars, by the silence. And as you drift deeper into sleep, the world continues its slow, deliberate dance. The floating mountains remain ever watchful, ever still, their silent presence a constant source of peace and wonder. The stars, now glowing softly in the velvet sky, watch over the land, casting their light across the world below. The mist continues to rise and fall, like the breath of the earth, carrying with it the stories of ages past. The trees stand tall, unmoving, their branches reaching for the sky, their roots holding them firmly to the earth. Everything is in its place, moving at its own pace, without hurry, without rush. And in this quiet, timeless rhythm, you find peace, knowing that you too are a part of this vast, unhurried world. A world where the floating mountains will forever stand, quietly watching over all that is. As the night lingers on, the world beneath the floating mountains remains in a deep, serene slumber. The mist, thick and soft, swirls gently around the land, blanketing the earth in a cool, comforting hush. The mountains, their jagged peaks hidden within the folds of the fog, seem to exist in a place outside of time, a place where the world is unhurried, where moments stretch out like the gentle flow of a stream, never rushing, never demanding. The stillness of the night is complete. The only sounds are the occasional whisper of the wind through the trees and the soft, rhythmic pulse of the earth itself. The mist moves as though it has a life of its own, curling through the valley, rising and falling, as if drawn to the very heart of the land. It clings to the base of the mountains, curling around the rocks and the trees, as though it is the very breath of the earth, inhaling and exhaling in the quiet spaces between moments. There is an overwhelming sense of peace here, a quiet stillness that envelops everything. The floating mountains, though distant, are never truly out of reach. Their presence, though shrouded in mist, feels like a constant, gentle hum in the background of your mind. You cannot see them, but you feel them, as if they are a part of the very air you breathe, as if their quiet strength is woven into the fabric of the night itself. They float, timeless and unshakable, their steady presence a silent reminder of the enduring beauty of the world, the beauty that exists even in the absence of light, of sight, of sound. The trees, still and tall, continue their quiet watch over the land. Their roots reach deep into the earth, connecting them to the mountains, to the mist, to the stars above. The trees are patient. They do not rush to grow or bloom. They stand rooted in the earth, their branches stretching ever upward, seeking the sky, as if they too are reaching for something greater, something beyond themselves. Their leaves, glowing softly in the moonlight, shimmer with the light of the stars, as if the trees themselves are carrying the secrets of the night in their branches, holding them gently in the spaces between the leaves. Above, the stars continue their slow, eternal journey across the sky. Their light is soft, gentle, like the touch of a familiar hand. The stars do not need to prove themselves. They do not need to be the brightest or the most dazzling. They simply shine quietly, steadily, offering their light to the land below. And in their soft glow, the floating mountains, though shrouded in mist, seem to take on a new dimension. They are no longer just peaks of rock and stone. They have become something more, a symbol of endurance, of quiet strength, of the eternal rhythms of the earth and sky. The mountains float, suspended not just in space, but in time, existing outside the boundaries of the world's fleeting moments. In this quiet, in this space between the worlds of the waking and the sleeping, there is a gentle understanding that no force in the universe is ever truly still. Everything is in motion, even in its apparent stillness. The floating mountains, though unmoving in appearance, are part of a greater dance, a dance that is slow and steady, eternal and unhurried. The trees, too, are part of this dance, as are the stars, the mist, the very earth itself. The rhythm of life is gentle, like the slow pulse of the mountains, like the steady beat of the heart. And in this rhythm, there is a quiet beauty, the beauty of things existing simply for the sake of existing, of being present, of being. And so, as you lie beneath the stars, beneath the unseen peaks of the floating mountains, you too find yourself becoming part of this rhythm. You begin to feel your own breath in sync with the world around you. The slow pulse of the earth, the gentle rise and fall of the mist, the quiet movement of the trees. All of these elements come together in harmony, drawing you deeper into the peace of the night. The floating mountains, though they are far above, are still with you. They are part of this world, part of the quiet, unhurried dance that moves through everything. They are not simply objects to be observed. They are the breath of the land, the heartbeat of the earth. The night deepens further, and the world becomes even quieter, if that is possible. The mountains, though hidden, seem to draw you closer with their calm, steady presence. The mist continues to rise and fall, rolling through the valley like the pulse of the earth itself. And in this quiet, you are reminded that there is nothing more powerful than stillness. The floating mountains, with their timeless grace, are a testament to the strength that lies in patience, in waiting, in being. They do not rush to be seen, to be understood, to be appreciated. They simply are. And as the night stretches on, you too begin to feel the weight of time slip away. You are no longer bound by the ticking of the clock, by the expectations of the world. You are part of this slow, peaceful rhythm, a rhythm that is eternal, that is as old as the mountains themselves, as old as the stars above. The world, in all its quiet beauty, continues to turn, and you are held in its embrace, just as the floating mountains are held by the earth, by the sky, by the very air that flows through the land. In this stillness, in this quiet surrender, there is no need for answers. The floating mountains do not require understanding. They do not need to be solved or explained. They exist simply and beautifully as part of the great, unfolding mystery of the world. And in their quiet, unwavering presence, they offer you something far more profound than answers. They offer peace. The peace that comes from simply being, from simply existing in harmony with the world, from floating in the stillness of the night, held by the soft rhythm of the earth. And as you drift deeper into the quiet embrace of sleep, the floating mountains remain with you, their timeless presence lingering like a whisper in the night, like a song that carries you gently into your dreams. The world, in its quiet rhythm, continues to spin, and you too are carried along, floating gently in the space between waking and sleeping, between the earth and the stars. And in this space, the floating mountains stand, watching over all, A quiet reminder that we too are part of this great, beautiful dance of life, suspended gently between time and eternity.